Welcome back to Nick Lenz, this comic corner, classic, lesson, known classics. This is episode number, I think it was 22, 26, and Doubleshot number 2120. Yep. This is discussing, the fifth epic collection for Thor, along with the first book for Superman New Krypton. Yep. First up we have is Thor Epic Collection Volume 5, The Fall of Asgard. Yep. Also during the latest issues, Loki was slow taking over Asgard. And this kind of was loosely adapted for Thor Ragnarok. Well, basically for beginning the Ragnarok, actually toward the end of Thor Dark World. These issues here are also worth being the final issues done by Stan Lee and Jack Kirby because they leave the book with issue like 194, I think it is. I think it was. So, let's see. Stan Lee's last issue was 192. But what about Jack Kirby? His last issue was, let's see. I'm trying to check and see. What was his last issue? Was it 180? No. Because that issue was done by Neil Adams. So what was Kirby's last issue he did for the book? So his last issue was actually 179. So basically, if you issue into this book here, this one basically his end. While Lee leaves with, I think it's like 192, I think it was, or 91. Yeah, I think it's 182. That's when he leaves the book, which is interesting. It's when John Bush, basically. So, in the course of these issues, we basically begin the Ragnarok story arc. Basically, in the way, the beginning and the end of this run. We start off with 175, The Fall of Asgard, where, Loki is taking over Asgard, and Thor basically is trying to figure out a way to overthrow him. While also dealing with, Surtur. Yes. I think he made his debut prior to this. Basically, he's there just to, deal with Ragnarok itself. Currently, this is my interesting note. Did you know he's dead? Yeah, he got killed off in Beta Ray Bill number 5. Yeah, they had Beta Ray Bill's most recent miniseries had. I think it was the second one he's had, where he dies. Yeah, they killed him off. Not sure why Dan Warren Johnson did it for, but he did. And also part of that, they killed Scourging. The special effect, he got resurrected prior to that by Jason Aaron. And he got killed by Colin Bunn. Yep, so you think he also have Surtur here, attacking Asgard, thinking, wow, this sounds a lot like Thor Ragnarok because they adapted him from this very storyline. Yep. Yeah, but it's an epic story arc here. Begins 175 and continues for quite a while. With Thor trying to basically deal with Asgard. We also have an alternate version of Asgard making its debut here. Because, this is something quite strange, though. For some reason, this you might find interesting here. The Stranger just randomly pops up in issue 178 during this epic story arc. Yeah, and then, of course, basically Loki's like the main bad guy of these issues. No, that's not a joke. He seriously is. Yeah, he's here for a very good period of time. He's here pretty much as a villain-wise, mostly up until issue, 194. It's basically Thor versus Loki, while trying to deal with the end of basically, dealing with Ragnarok itself. So, of course, Thor also fights Mephisto in these issues, too. Yeah, Thor apparently taking the UN in one issue. And then issue 182, he fights, of all people, Doctor Doom. Yes. Who some people call Marvel's punching bag. And fights him for a couple issues. And then he fights Storm Giants. It's just a lot of just pure awesomeness. Yep. And then we have, finally, we have a break from that for 185. We have debut of a character known as the Guardian. The Guardian of Infinity. From the world beyond. And he appears for 3 straight issues. 185 to 187. And there's also Infinity. Yes. Infinity. Well, this is a version of the character anyways. Infinity is one of the cosmic beings, and this is one of her early experiences. She appears for 4 straight issues from Thor. From 185 to 188, though apparently she later died. And then 190, Hela enters the fray. Yes, Hela is here. And she takes on Thor for the next 2 issues. And then we have Odin return to deal with more craziness here. Thor having a rematch, having their basically a big battle with Loki, and then fighting a guy named Drok. Yeah, who is sadly no longer alive. The character. He appears for like these 3 issues from 1 to 193, and then returns for issue 82 of Volume 2, and that's it for him. We also have Thor team with the Silver Surfer for these issues, which that's interesting. And then 194, they kind of in the way have where the story is finally done. But here's the thing though. Stan Lee left with issue 191. Yep, 191 was his last issue he did. And pretty much with issue 190, actually it was 182 was his last issue. I thought that was. Yeah, 182 was his last issue. And then from 193 forward was actually Jerry Conway's run for the book. And if you're curious though, how long did Conway send the book for? Like, if you're really curious, how long did he send the book? The answer is he saved from issue 183, and he was there to issue 138, taking over from Stan Lee, who had been a long time running the book. But yeah, this was all really good. Reading this basically just was such a pure enjoyment for me. And sadly put, basically, Conway will be the writer going forward for quite a while. As a matter of fact, does the very next one conclude his run? No, it's still part way into his run. I think with Volume 8, I think that's when they finally wrap up his run for the book. I believe so. But I'm going to give Thor Epic Collection Volume 5, The Fall of Asgard, a 10 out of 10. It is really, just really good. Alright, let's close it over here. Next up we have is Superman New Krypton Volume 1. Yeah, this comes out after the really good story arc by Jeff Johns known as Superman Brainiac. Yeah, who knew a story started by Jeff Johns except basically the next stage of Superman books for the next couple years. Gotta love this really good cover. I think that's Gary Frank's cover, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, it kind of looks like Gary Frank. Now, the stories we have here, the comics we have here are Superman's Pal Jimmy Olsen Special number 1, Adventure Comics Special featuring the Guardian, and we also have Superman New Krypton Special number 1, Superman 681, and Action Comics 871. Yeah, that's your stories there. Now, these are your writers. You have James Robinson writing the story from A Cub of Wolf. The Worst Night of His Life is also by James Robinson. New Krypton is by Jeff Johns, James Robinson, and Sterling Gates. Chance Me Encounters, James Robinson. Beyond Doomsday, Jeff Johns. Most of them by Pete Woods. Yeah, now we first start off with the Jimmy Olsen one-shot. Yep. Where in this one shot in particular, he's just researching stuff. He's researching stuff related to uh, Jonathan Drew, aka codename Assassin. Yep. And he gets kind of in the way reintroduced here. And he basically is on the run from him. Though in the following one shot, he supposedly kills him. And who knew this one? And of course, he has supposedly him killing off, like, he kills off apparently Jim Harper. Well, the original Jim Harper, that is. Mm-hmm. And they kind of where this basically was like the lead up to it. Oh yeah, and also Doubleshot gets killed off in this issue. Yes, Doubleshot, a character Jack Kirby created. Yep. And of course, also the first Guardian, the original Jim Harper, dies in flashback in this very issue. So, yeah, we first see him die, and then Doubleshot gets killed in his office. Yep, and that was basically kind of the lead up to it. This very one shot. Mm-hmm. Yep. But he doesn't die in this issue, but basically, like, yeah, then we began these series of, like, some one-shots. Then comes the Guardian one-shot. Mm-hmm. Which is part of the main story. It's actually part 3 of the story, which is interesting. Yeah, the Guardian one basically just the Guardian dealing with, well, it's basically a story featuring the clone of the original one. Yeah, he made his debut back in the 70s. He's basically, in a way, he is a creation of Jack Kirby. Was the original creation of Jack Kirby? Yes, he was. He kind of sees himself as the original Jim Harper's son, and Gwen Harper, who is kind of his clone. But then he has also a niece too. Mm-hmm. Yeah, for some reason they put the Guardian special here first. I'm not really sure why. And then we lead into the New Krypton special, which actually, this is actually part 1 of the story, while the Guardian one was actually part 3. Yeah, this is the one that starts off with the funeral of Jonathan Kent. Yes, he died in the Superman Brainiac story arc. Of all things, a heart attack. Yes, that is how he died. And Superman, the way he grieves for him is to have, well, in order to deal with his suffering, he proceeds to break into the prison where Brainiac is and proceeds to beat the living crap out of him. And they think this will satisfy him. No, seriously. Oh, by the way, the issue itself is Gary Frank is one of the artists for this issue, along with Pete Woods and Renell Ghost. Jeff Johns, James Robinson, Sterling Gates does this special. This special kind of in the way kicks off the New Krypton stuff. That's most of what this is. And of course, deals with the people in New Krypton. Supergirl's there. Yep, everything's like all nice and neat. And then the issue ends with, get this. You're gonna love this. Basically, you have it where the issue ends with General Lane meeting up with Lex Luthor. No, seriously. That's basically how they do this. Not sure why, though. And then we have the part 2 of the story, which is from Superman 681, with those wonderful cover art by Alex Ross. Gotta love this freaking cover. I'm also basically we're still dealing with Superman with Kandor, and we also have appearance here by various superheroes, and the superheroes being John Stewart, Alan Scott, Mr. Terrific, the Mike Holt version, the Condra Sanders, Hawkgirl, and Wonder Woman. All dealing with this stuff. And Krypto shows up at the doorstep, and the Kryptonians basically just want peace. And then Doomsday shows up at the end of the issue. Yes, frickin' Doomsday. Because of course he does. Yeah, then we have the very next issue, which actually is part 4 of the story from Action Comics 871. Yeah, and we also see the start of the debut of Flamebird and Nightwing in this issue. Well, not the Dick Grayson one. I think he was already Batman at this point in time. So apparently, get this. For some reason, General Lane has his hands on Brainiac, and he's bringing Lex Luthor too. And they agreed to work. Well, they kind of agreed to work together, kind of. But he shoots him. Of course, you have Superman fighting Doomsday. Thanks to the Moon. Things with his cousin. Oh yeah, we need General Zod for reasons. And then, of course, we have here they are, Flamebird and Nightwing. Yep. Who Flamebird is a very original character. This is actually her debut. For Nightwing, no, that's actually Chris Kent. This is the first appearance as him. But this is the first appearance of Flamebird. And that's how they end the issue. Yeah, it's interesting though. You have basically like 2 one-shots. Actually, like you have 3 one-shots and 2 issues. So you have Superman's Pal Jimmy Olsen special. Then you have the Adventure Comics Retribution Guardian. Then you have Superman Krypton Special number 1, Superman 681, and Action Comics 871. But I gotta admit, this is a good start. I enjoyed this. I really did. Nothing really wrong with this per se. Nothing is really badly per se. Yes, we have General Light building on something. Of course, we know about this in the layer stuff. But it's a great start. We have a lot of excitement here. Now, if you're curious though, what exactly happened prior to this one? Well, we had it where in 677 we had the return of his character named Atlas. Yes. It's part of the prelude. It started from issue 677, wrapped up with 680. Yeah, it's a quick 4-part story arc that basically had this Atlas character. And as for Action Comics, it's the Brainiac story arc. So we have Brainiac in the pages of Action. And we also have, well, the coming of Atlas in the Superman stuff. So we had 2 major story arcs. And then we have this. They also have the issue of Supergirl for some reason. As part of a lead to this. But basically, it's her just fighting Sora Banshee. What, Dad? Okay, I'll be in just a minute. I'm going to give basically Superman New Krypton a 9.5 out of 10. It's really good. Okay, so that's the particular view. Next is going to be another one on my smartphone. Then Demon Slayer, and maybe this time I'll go ahead and do The Deadly Assassin. Okay, I'll do the next Vector story. Okay, next view. Bye.